7 signs he is losing interest in you. Have you ever felt like someone you love is slowly becoming distant, but you couldn't explain exactly why? At first, everything feels normal. You talk every day, you laugh together, you feel wanted, you feel like you finally found someone who truly understands you. Then, little by little, something changes. The messages become shorter, the calls become less frequent. The person who once couldn't wait to hear from you suddenly seems too busy. And the strangest part, they may never actually tell you that their feelings have changed. Instead, you start noticing small things, things that seem harmless at first, until they happen again and again and again. So, how do you know when someone is genuinely losing interest? Here are 7 signs you should never ignore. The first sign is simple. They stop making time for you. Think about it. When someone truly wants to be part of your life, they don't need to have unlimited free time. They just make an effort. Even on a busy day, they might send you a quick message. Even when they're tired, they might call for a few minutes. But when their interest starts fading, you'll notice something different. Suddenly, everything becomes an excuse. They're always busy. They're always tired. Something always comes up. And somehow you are always the person waiting. At first, you might think, maybe they're just going through a difficult time. And that's possible. But don't judge one bad day. Look at the pattern. Because one busy week doesn't mean someone has stopped caring. But when the distance becomes a habit, that's when you should pay attention. The second sign is that you stop feeling like you're part of their world. Remember when they used to tell you everything? Something funny happened at work. They told you. They had a bad day. You were the first person they wanted to talk to. They were excited about something. They couldn't wait to share it with you. But now, you find out things later, sometimes from other people, sometimes from social media, and sometimes you don't find out at all. It feels like a door that used to be wide open is slowly closing, and you're standing outside wondering what happened. The third sign is that the conversations change. This one can be difficult to notice, because technically, you're still talking, but the connection isn't the same. You ask questions, they give short answers. You try to start a conversation, they don't continue it. You tell them something important, they seem distracted. And eventually you realize something painful. You're the one keeping the conversation alive. You're asking all the questions, you're starting all the conversations, you're trying to create the connection while they're simply responding. And that's when you have to ask yourself, am I having a conversation with someone? Or am I trying to get a conversation out of someone? There's a big difference. The fourth sign is that affection starts disappearing. It doesn't always happen dramatically. Sometimes it's extremely subtle. The compliments become rare. The sweet messages disappear. The little gestures stop. The excitement they once showed when seeing you is no longer there, and you might start blaming yourself. Maybe you're not attractive enough. Maybe you've changed. Maybe you did something wrong. Maybe you need to try harder. But don't immediately blame yourself. People's feelings can change for many reasons, and sometimes it has nothing to do with your worth. The fifth sign is that they stop talking about the future. This one can tell you a lot. When someone is excited about having you in their life, they naturally talk about the future. It doesn't have to be something serious. It could be, let's travel there someday. Imagine if we lived together. We should try that restaurant next month. Small statements, but they show that the person can imagine you being part of their future. When that suddenly disappears, you may notice the difference. You mention next month, and they avoid the conversation. You talk about plans, and they say, we'll see. You ask where the relationship is going, and suddenly they don't have an answer. Again, one conversation doesn't prove anything, but if the future suddenly becomes something they refuse to discuss, pay attention. The sixth sign is perhaps the most dangerous one. You start feeling like you have to earn their attention. You begin checking your phone constantly. You wonder why they haven't replied. You rewrite your messages before sending them. You think, maybe I should text less. Maybe I should act more mysterious. Maybe I should make them jealous. Maybe if I become more attractive, they'll want me again. And slowly, you stop being yourself. You're no longer enjoying the relationship. You're studying it, analyzing every message, every emoji, every delayed reply, every change in their tone. And that's when a relationship can become emotionally exhausting, because love shouldn't make you feel like you're constantly taking an exam and waiting to see whether you passed. And then comes the seventh sign, the one people often realize too late. You feel lonely, even when you're with them. Think about that for a moment. You can sit next to someone and still feel completely alone. You can talk to someone every day and still feel unheard. You can be in a relationship and still feel like you're begging for connection. And if you constantly feel lonely around someone, that's something worth paying attention to. But here's what I want you to remember. If you notice these signs, don't immediately assume the worst. Don't accuse them. Don't play mind games. Don't try to make them jealous. And don't change your entire personality just to keep someone interested. Instead, have an honest conversation. Ask questions. Listen. And most importantly, watch their actions. Because words can change very quickly. Actions usually tell you much more. And if you discover that someone's feelings really have changed, remember this. Their loss of interest does not mean you've lost your value. You don't become less beautiful because someone stopped noticing your beauty. You don't become less worthy because someone stopped appreciating you. And you don't have to spend your life chasing someone who has already decided to walk away. Sometimes, the hardest thing to accept is also the thing that sets you free. You cannot force someone to love you. You cannot force someone to choose you, but you can choose yourself. And sometimes, choosing yourself is the beginning of a much better chapter. So if you've been feeling that someone is becoming distant, don't panic, don't chase, don't beg. Take a step back, look at the pattern, have the conversation, and then let their actions give you the answer. Because the right person won't make you spend every day wondering, do they still want me? The right connection should bring peace, not constant confusion. And if someone is slowly walking away from your life, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop running after them and simply let them go.